So you're in a crowd of people, and you guys were gisting, chatting. You were so happy with one another, and then unknowingly there are some pollution that just come up when you don't expect. Maybe someone just farted somewhere, and everybody began to smell the smell. Like, what's going on? This smell is thick. You know, there are different kind of smell when someone farts. You just hear some smell will be like that yolk of egg, some will be like, you get what I say, some will be like, they are just, what I'm trying to say is they are different kind of smell. I don't want to be going into deep chemicals or this, this just, but as I'm saying this, I'm sure your imaginations are bringing the kind of smells that you are smell in public, and you're like, who did this? The person that did this did not do. I actually said that the person that did this did not do. I say that you did not do well. How can you fart like this in the public? And the thing is smelling. Or maybe it was you farted. You didn't know that the fart was going to have issues in the environment. You didn't know it was going to smell that much, and it was really smelling, and you were so embarrassed you couldn't say, it was me, I'm sorry, or things like that. Of course, obviously you are telling me that, Rema, how will I say it's me? It's not possible that I can't say it's me. There are situations like that, and that is why we want to talk about building sanity in the space of toxic environment. So this month's series, how you can build sanity when everywhere is toxic. How can you build sanity? So in an environment or in a space whereby somebody pollutes the air, what do you do? And the smell is really so conk, and you're asking yourself that, this smell is so cool, me go, I cannot go it again. How do you keep yourself? How do you stay safe when the pollution has went around the whole and everywhere is smelling, and you're asking yourself that, what do I do to stay sane in this kind of situation? Same way it is when you find yourself in an environment that does not seem to encourage you, that does not seem to bring out the best in whatever it is that you've envisioned your life to be. Two major things that we really deal with when it comes to psychology is we deal with the issue of nature, and we deal with the issue of nurture, which is when it comes to DNA, and when it also comes to environment, because we understand the impact of exposure on an individual. And that is why a psychology will always give you an analogy that even a twin based on exposure will not be the same. They will not talk at the same phase. They will not see from the same perspective. That is to bring you to that understanding that environment has a lot of things to do with our perception, how we see things, how we tend to talk about things, or the way we tend to handle things around us. And in case you find yourself in an environment where you don't feel encouraged, where you feel like you are not pushed enough to give the maximum productivity or energy that you need to give to the things that you do around you, or maybe you even feel like, I don't even understand this environment. Is just, the people say, it's the generational people that are following me here, it's my father's house, that's why. That village, I don't want to go there. It's not that village. It is something that has to change. And for something to change, there's a need for you to stay connected to Hope Alive Therapy. On this month's series, as I will be giving you the first tip on how to stay sane in a toxic environment. Number one tip that I'm going to be talking about today is staying inspired. A lot of people don't really know the value of what it means for you to just stay so inspired. Why did you think that when a air is polluted in the environment, and everywhere is smelling, stinking, and somebody from nowhere will just carry air freshener out, like in case it is, let me burst this place with another smell? That's because the person already had to figure out that in case this environment is polluted, how do I keep myself safe? How do I help myself to be? So the best thing is, let me spray some air freshener so that everywhere can smell back again. The same way it is when you have a kind of motivation, a kind of drive that actually helps you to stay positive in the midst of a toxic environment. That's what I mean by staying inspired. When you have something that reminds you of your vision, reminds you of where you are going, reminds you of what you are becoming, or even reminds you of what you see yourself to be every day. So it's not just something that you have in a vision and you're just like, I dream that I'm going to be this. No, it's something that has to be constantly in your space, in your thought. For example, look at the issue of Hilda that just broke a record of the longest cooking person. She must have been in spaces where she has even forgotten the fact that this was the record she wants to set for herself as a woman. But something must have kept her inspired. Something must have kept her reminding ourselves that this is what I want to be, this is who I want to stand for, this is how I want my life to be, to keep going and keep getting to that space where she wants to be. For you to be able to stay sane, especially in a toxic environment where things does not seem to go your way, where things does not seem to look like you, or where things does not seem to reckon with you, the first major thing is stay inspired. Just make sure you're inspired. And how do you stay inspired? Number one, what is your drive? What are the things that drive you? When you wake up in the morning, what's your drive? How do you study the word of God? How do you read positive things to yourself? How do you make affirmations to yourself? How do you declare good things about yourself? Number two is keeping quality people. When you have positive friends and relationship around you, I mean, it's really, really going to help you to stay inspired, because they are going to say something that challenge you in a positive way. They are going to say testimonies that remind you of the picture of what you want to be, even in a toxic environment. I just imagined if Joseph had found himself amidst the right people, probably maybe the vision would have gone the other way around. But irregardless, the vision still came to pass. Irregardless, the vision still came to stay. But he himself kept himself inspired. He reminded himself of the dream that he had, even if his environment was not looking like it. Joseph stayed on what God has showed him concerning the dream of what he was going to become, even if every of his siblings were not looking like it. So surround yourself with quality people. It really, really matters when you surround yourself with quality people. Number three is build positive conversations. What kind of conversations do you have with people when you talk to people? One of the ways to stay inspired is when you have good conversations that actually stir up your spirit and lift your souls. Oh, amazing grace. I'm just saying that though. But when you have good conversations, I'm telling you, you're going to stay inspired, and you are going to keep fashioning your thoughts and imagination in line with what you want to be. And last but not the least on staying inspired is that you need to constantly remind yourself of who you are. You know, it's very obvious. That was what God did to Jeremiah. He said, before I formed thee, I knew thee. I have ordained you as a prophet unto the nation. He made Jeremiah understood that there was something you were appointed for. There was something you were created for. There was something that you are made for. There is something you are made for outside there. There is something you are created for. And there is something that you are meant to represent. Inability to do this will actually make you fall victim of toxic environment. But the very first step are all these highlights that I just gave you around how to build sanity in the midst of toxic environment. Actually, I have more tips that I would like to give to you guys, but I would like you guys to stay glued to the series as we'll be treating staying sane in a toxic environment this month. And then let me go back to my question. I would like you to drop your answers in the comment section. So imagine you are the one that you are just two people in a room, and one of you farted. I don't know who farted anyway, and the smell was so rigorous, and then you guys are just looking at yourself and waiting for someone to apologize. Who do you think will apologize to who? Just drop your answers in the comment section, where I'm going to be coming back to you guys to give you more on how to stay sane in a toxic environment. I love you guys. Yes, I do. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bye bye.